kindness,
people and places,
sincerity,
love,
integrity.
the incredible universe. You're listening to the Living Out Loud podcast with Natascha and Dr Vincent, where we talk about life, love, and the universe. You're listening to the Living Out Loud podcast with Natascha and Dr Vincent, where we talk about life, love, and the universe. Dr. Vincent and I are doing this podcast because A, we're friends, but B, because I interviewed him quite a while ago on a show that I had called The Dialogue. And I have remained, I think, his biggest raving fan ever since. So how exciting we're doing this.
Well, this is very, very exciting. And she said that she's my biggest fan, but the feeling is mutual because literally just before Natascha hit record on this Zoom screen, I literally just said to her that I never thought that I could actually find a person as crazy as I am. But not only I found someone who is as crazy as I am, sometimes she makes me wonder, I think she's crazier.
Oh, I think there are moments when I definitely
take that as a compliment.
Completely. I'm fully on the compliment vein there. So we are doing a podcast about life, love, and the universe. And I thought it would be great if you and I chatted about why we are even qualified to talk about these things. Interestingly enough, we've actually already recorded episode 2, which was with Marina Pasalaris about teenage trauma. And it was really interesting because I've interviewed Marina before and I've interviewed you before, which is how I've met both of you. And both of you are really extraordinary. You have been quite amazing in your career. While you look like this beautiful young man, you're actually a 30-year-old scientist, the real deal. You work in a laboratory, you create health products. They are so successful that they've just gone into Woolworths, into 900 stores. And your product, which I use every day of my life, has really set you apart. The part about you that I am so impressed by is your incredible commitment to what you're doing. And I'm curious, I know you did your degree super fast. I know that you were amazing.
I was poor.
You were I don't want to say, I said that last time. I wasn't sure if it was the right, you were poor. You came poor.
I was poor because, well, every, as an international student at that time, every day that I didn't get my degree cost me money. So I really needed to fast track my degree. And I remember when you were interviewing me at the dialogue, when I said that I didn't have friends and that I could see your face just change. And I was like, I quickly added, I said that by design, I'm not this horrible person who didn't have friends. I didn't have friends because friends cost money, but don't feel too bad because I started to make up for lost time.
We're talking a little bit about the degree that you did. What are you actually qualified as?
So I have 4 degrees. The first one is food science, and then food technology, human nutrition, and my last degree was a combination of all of them under biochemistry. So I am quite qualified in terms of cellular system. Antioxidant is my specialized field, and since you're talking about me, I think it doesn't come from a place of bragging, but it comes from a place that when you put what you want to achieve and when you put your dream out there and then you work hard for it, it is something that you can achieve. And I not only attained all of this degree before I turned 25, I actually am, and I think I'm pretty sure I still am the youngest PhD holder in the world in my field.
That's kind of extraordinary. It really is. But more importantly, you actually created an incredible product from apples. So this is something that I take every night, and this is not to kind of spruik your product. We're not here to sell ourselves and what we do. We're here to really just have a chat about life and the things that we are, that interest us. But what you do interests me because it's something I can't do. I don't understand how your world works, but you've created an antioxidant, an apple a day. It is, the product is Renovatio. And I think if anyone is in Woolworths, it's probably worth them going to have a look. That product saved my life. I mean, I couldn't walk at the point when I interviewed you. I was in such incredible agony. And I take a tablet every single night of my life, and I am not a vitamin-y person. In fact, I'm quite lazy, and I don't really understand how to do things in sequence. Apparently, that somehow affected my child, I was told, and I didn't teach him how to sequence. So I don't really understand that, but I am religious about that tablet. So why does it work so well? Why does that antioxidant work so well on pain?
So the reason why I did my PhD was because at that time, there is a consensus. Everybody in the scientific world, or most people in the scientific world, believe that antioxidants, especially phenolic antioxidants, are excellent for health. Unfortunately, before my technology came along, for the entire 80 years of the history of antioxidant supplement can only be extracted using chemical solvent or created synthetically using chemical. So the issue with those technologies is that once you take it into your body can't absorb it, because when you have to take something out, so extract something out using ethanol, methanol, ether, or acetone, once you reintroduce that into your biological system, your body can't absorb it because your body doesn't contain any of these chemical solvents. So I did not invent the phenolic antioxidant. What my technology allows us to do is that we can extract and activate these phenolic antioxidants using only water. And guess what your body has? Water.
Lots of water.
So exactly. So once you take this substance into your system, the absorption rate goes from 3% to up to 97%. And this is the reason why the product works really well, because it gets absorbed. A lot of times.
Sorry, so you don't weird out like you do with everything else.
Exactly.
So when you take all those vitamins and then you go to the toilet and all of a sudden everything is like bright yellow or whichever color.
Almost fluorescence, yes.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, because if you read news, people who are listening to this, I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably an avid reader or listener to podcasts or YouTube videos. You may have come across people, health experts, doctors, physicians, researchers, and scientists who made a statement that when you take health supplement, you're basically just creating an expensive urine because you urinate it out. And that is not without a scientific basis, because when our body is very smart, when you take something into your body and your body can't absorb it, it becomes toxic. It becomes dangerous in your body. So your body will try to desperately flush it out. And that's the reason why, if you read the news in Europe or in America, there are a lot of people who have been taking health supplement all their lives, and they ended up with either liver failure, kidney failure, or even cancers. The problem is not the healthy lifestyle or taking it religiously. It is taking the wrong thing, because guess what? If your body can't absorb it, the two organs that have to work harder to detoxify it, to flush it out, is your liver and your kidney. And over years, many decades of taking that, instead of making your body healthy, you're actually putting extra work on top of what they're already having to deal with.
So I kind of already know this just simply because I've spoken to you in the past and I've learned it from you. Given that we're talking about life and we're talking about health, and the reason why we decided to do this was obviously because COVID is currently in our midst, and health has become absolutely a priority for everyone.
Yes.
So people are looking at how to keep themselves healthy. People who've never really looked at their bodies or their lifestyle are now at home suddenly considering what living is all about. And that's why I thought it would be so good to include the living in our podcast, because living and how to live is really important, that you have at least a quality of life, if not an incredible life.
Yes, and I guess this is the reason why there's a saying that unless you know that you're about to lose it, you don't really know the true meaning of something. And this has a lot to do with the situation and condition that we're living in now. A lot of people, most of the times, they don't think about their health. They don't really think about how to stay healthy. I guess we live in Australia, which is a first world country. So in terms of hygiene, we're pretty good compared to other countries. However, people don't think that when they don't wash their hands, it actually poses a significant danger to their health, not only personally, but also to the people around them. But what is interesting as well is what we talk behind the scene, Natascha and I, is that how our mental health significantly and scientifically affects our physical health. And Natascha, you put it really, really well, because you drew an analogy between this to stress and our physical health.
Well, the stress thing is really important. I mean, I'm quite an anxious person, and I have been for a really long time. And so over the years of, seeking therapy and taking antidepressants and, trying a whole lot of things, I always kind of believed that there was a way through sort of some of those anxious feelings. And I discovered along the way that, being pain-free reduces anxiety. It really does. It creates a huge, when you feel well, it helps you. Not only that, also when you're feeling good about yourself, I think that's really important. And so I do lots of yoga. Yoga really helps me. Learning how to breathe really helps me. Meditation, although I'm not very good at it, and I have to say I find it very challenging. But trying to learn those things is really important. So from a lifestyle and a living point of view, that's what I do that makes me kind of live better, live well. What do you do that makes you live well?
Well, you know exactly what I do every morning, but now that we are on the air, I would like to share with you. You may laugh, but that's fine. You can either laugh with us or laugh at us. It doesn't really matter.
I don't mind either.
Exactly. But if we can, so we plan this podcast to be around 30 to 40 minutes. If we can give you that 30 to 40 minutes of laugh in the midst of your busy day, that's fine. You can either laugh with us or laugh at us. But on this topic, you probably laugh at me rather than laugh with me, because I would laugh at me too. Every morning when I wake up in the morning, I will stand up in front of my mirror in the vanity. Funny that they call it vanity. And I would say that, hi, good morning, Vincent. You will do great today. And I think that's really important, because this is a good segue to from life to love, because you have to love this. You have to love this. You have to love yourself for you to allow people to love that. Sure, sometimes we learn how to love ourselves from other people, because some people are just so loving that they are able to teach us how to love ourselves more than what we can love ourselves. However, it is important to start from within. And Natascha, you talk a lot about my achievements, what I have achieved so far in my life. But I think instead of using the word successful, I would like to basically say that I have been fortunate and blessed, because what I'm doing every day is something that I truly, truly am passionate about. And this is something that I love about my job, about what I'm doing, because that love allows me to go the extra mile, to do more, to work harder. And I think it is very important for people to have love in their lives. And I know we sort of kind of talk about this. We want to section our podcast to the life, love, and the universe section. And I think we are going into the love section now. But before I forget, I really have to ask you this, because I think when I first heard it, I was just so blown away, and I want you to share with our listeners as well. You teach podcasting, the power and the art of podcasting. So it's really interesting that you're not only teaching, you're actually doing it with me now, which is, I'm so lucky. But the reason why I was so blown away with your explanation and your story is that what you want to achieve is not really, technically, yes, you want to teach people how to do podcasts, but essentially what you want to achieve is you want to give people a voice. can you please share with us why it is so important for anyone to have a voice, to find that voice?
I think, I'm a woman, and we've had, as a gender, we've had a fairly difficult ride so far. And I think we haven't had a voice for a very, very long time. And when I started off doing the podcasting, it was actually, I did an interview show with women. And I've always been quite female-centric, quite female-focused. As the years have gone on, I've realized that actually I'm more into equality than I am into feminism in itself. And I also, having experienced quite a lot of trauma as a child, quite a bit of sort of domestic violence and sexual violence and a whole lot of difficult things that I've had to deal with through my life, I realized that the best way to cut through trauma and to cut through pain was to talk about things. It was about how do we say the words out loud? How do we remove shame from an experience? How do we tell people that we know something? How do we proclaim our love for someone or for something? How do we make it known? And the way we do that is by saying it. And if you can say it out loud and you can say it to an audience, it either makes something stronger, it makes positive stronger, and it makes the negative weaker. So if you're experiencing negative things and you share it with someone, it's almost like you halve it. Everything goes into the universe. It's like the universe takes the energy and it just sprinkles it through the world. It makes it so much softer. When you love somebody or you love something and you say it out loud, it becomes very powerful. And for me, it's about trying to give people the opportunity of being able to say things that they want and get things that they want. And I don't teach people technically, this is not going to be a brilliant technical podcast. I'm used to a studio where I have all the bells and whistles. And I'm currently doing it at home with my microphone, and we're on Zoom. It's not going to be perfect.
It cost a lot.
It did cost a lot, mostly because I got the first one wrong, and then I had to buy a second one, so it cost a hell of a lot. But we're trying to talk and give people an opportunity to hear things. The next interview we do is with Marina about teenage trauma. We're going to talk to somebody about early childhood. We're going to talk to somebody about families, relationships, dating. We're going to talk about science. And that is what we're doing here. We're communicating and sharing. And I could think of nobody I would rather do it with than you.
Oh, and likewise, the feeling is truly, truly mutual. And another thing that I want to discuss is because now that we're in the love section, in my opinion, love has two sides. And I think what I want to make a tradition in terms of our podcast is that I want us, for every episode, it doesn't matter if it's just two of us or when we actually have a guest, I want us to examine these two sides of love. So the one side, I think when you are loved and when you love, there is a feeling that you feel, which in my opinion is gratitude. But at the same time, on the other side of love, is fear.
Fear, exactly. Yes. It is. It's so true. There is pain and there is fear in love, and there is this amazing dopamine hit of high. It's such a multi-complex experience.
Yes, and if you're Christian Grey, you mix the two.
Yeah, we all have one of those.
Yes, of course. Okay. Please don't derail me. I'm so easily distracted, and this is the reason why this is the 1 millionth podcast. I mean, they actually make it into the official on-air one. Anyhow, so what do you think? So let me ask you. Tell me something that you are grateful for today.
I'm always grateful for similar things. I'm grateful for the fact that I can love. I'm very grateful for my son. I'm grateful for the fact that I am loved and that I do love. And I'm incredibly grateful for my body. And not because I think I have an amazing body, but because through my journey with yoga and with everything else, I realized that I have strength in my body and that my body is going to carry me for a long time and that I have power in that. And for me, it makes me feel quite secure and quite safe. So that is something that is I'm very grateful for those things. And you, what are you grateful for?
Well, I'm grateful for the fact that I'm alive, because that's a good start.
It is
And
a good
second,
start.
yes. And secondly, not to be general or too broad term, but I'm grateful that I have a reason and reasons to be alive, because there are a lot of people who are alive, but they feel that they don't have reasons to wake up in the morning, to get up and to do things, especially now in this isolation and COVID-19 situation. There are a lot of people, when they don't go to work, when they don't physically have to go out to work or to the office, they somehow lose a sense of direction in their lives. And I think this is very concerning. And that's why I'm very, very grateful that I have a reason to wake up every morning, despite the fact that I don't actually go to the office, but I have a passion. I have something that I want to pursue. And I'm very grateful for that.
Well, you're putting all those pills and all that, and all that beautiful powder into all those, those packages for Woolworths. So that's something that should motivate you. But
yes,
talking a little bit about where we're at the moment, and obviously the universe, and the fact that the universe is quite an extraordinary place. I mean, I'm quite a strong believer in, sustainability and the fact that we need to look after our universe. And we obviously haven't. We've obviously been taking quite a bit of advantage of her along the way.
Speaking of the universe, do you know that in the past 5 years, there are 2 Miss Universes from South Africa?
Oh, really?
Yes.
I would never know that. Now that I'm not, I straddled it too. So I'm half Australian, half South African. My mum's South African, my father's Australian. So I'm very grateful that I actually have my roots in 2 very, very beautiful, beautiful countries. So as a universe, and where do you come from? You are originally from?
I'm originally from Indonesia, and I think one of the biggest struggle is that now I don't know who to defend for when, like, during
the sport.
Not during the war. I mean, in Miss Universe contest, I don't know whether to cheer for Miss Australia or Miss Indonesia.
Well, it's okay. You just have to cheer for the one who's winning. But talking about the universe, and obviously a little bit around COVID-19, and I'm hoping that COVID-19 will not be the theme of our podcast going forward. But talking about COVID-19, I'm curious. I heard that a virus can't kill you. You don't actually die from the virus. So the people who have COVID are not dying from the virus. They're actually dying from their own bodies that are kind of fighting the virus. Can you just make it a little bit clearer for me, because this is something I'm obviously not that clued up on.
Yes, it's a misconception that infection kills you. It is a layman term. Yes, infection does kill you, but it is not. This is the reason why when you contract the virus, you don't die immediately. It's not like poison. When you take something poisonous into your body, the poison kills you. Viruses, when they enter your body, what they do is they are doing a hostile takeover of your cellular functions, of your biological functions, and they need our body to replicate. And once they replicate, they then cause havoc in our biological system. When people die of COVID-19 infection, what it means in most of the case is that their body is so ridden with inflammations that it's starting sort of kind of eating itself. Okay. That's the reason why when you do an X-ray or when you have a look at the tissues of the lung of people who suffer or die from COVID-19 conditions, you will see a lot of almost like rotten cells and rotten tissues, and that is the result of inflammation in the body. And this also explains why is it COVID-19 seemingly skipped a generation, which is a younger generation. Yes, there are a handful of young people who contract coronavirus and suffer significantly or severely. However, majority of the young people and young generation, they are either suffering from mild or no symptoms at all. And the reason is because of inflammation. So imagine if you are 80 years old dealing with coronary heart disease and diabetes, your body is already battling with inflammation on a daily basis. without even having to contract coronavirus. So having contracted coronavirus adds another layer of inflammations that your body has to resolve. And this is the reason why making sure that your body can handle inflammation is very important. And taking care of your body by eating healthily, fresh fruit and vegetables. I know it sounds so simple. Every time I say that, I can see people rolling their eyes and I say that, of course, I've heard that. My grandma taught me that. My great-grandmother taught me that. Yes, however, the fact of the matter is that people still don't do that. It is too simple and then people say, oh, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. And secondly, hydrate. Water intake.
Oh, I love that water
important.
thing. Tell me about the water thing, because you said something about water the last time we were talking and I loved it. You're thirsty when you what? There were a whole lot of things.
You know that 50% of the time when you are hungry or when you're craving food, it's your brain trying to tell you that you are thirsty. So especially now that we are going into a colder season, our body is a little bit tricky because when it's cold, you don't actually feel that you're thirsty. So the best way to see whether or not your body is dehydrated is the color of your urine. So when you go to the toilet and you find that the color of your urine is very yellow, very dark, it is a sign that your body is dehydrated. So you don't have to go extra clear because it means that you're drinking a necessary amount of water. Just light yellow is the color to go for. I can't believe that we say that. Okay,
no,
light yellow is the color you go for.
That's true though, but also, you know, if you have a headache, it's often because you're dehydrated and you need water.
Exactly.
And if you're thirsty,
70% of our body is water.
So, you know, talking about the universe a little bit, and obviously, as I said, I love the idea that we are maybe going back to our roots. Maybe we're going to have a rethink about the importance of, you know, of the earth, the universe, the things that are the family. You know, there's a return to some of those values, which is really important. So, going forward, our Living Out Loud podcast, I'm just curious, what do you fear?
Oh, well, I think it's always good to be honest and upfront. My fear is something that probably is unnecessary. And I haven't gone through trauma or anything, but I do fear that I am not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not enough. And I think that comes with my characteristic of wanting to achieve high things. I'm a naturally competitive and high achiever person, but now more and more as I'm more mature and I have more experience in life, I think those two positive characteristics can be a double-edged sword because I put a lot of pressure on myself. And this fear probably has nothing to do with other people because this is a projection that I put onto myself. So this is something that I have to work within myself because fear usually comes from within. And you can't control people and things around you. There are certain things that you can control. There are certain things that you can try to control. But what you can certainly control is what's inside. And this is something that I'm working on every day. And I think I'm getting better at handling this fear. How about you?
Me, I'm probably scared that you know, I don't know, I think I'm quite scared of aging. I think the aging process terrifies me a little bit because I kind of want to hang on to today. I want to hang on to what I have right now. And that sort of terrifies me that, you know, time is running out. I get that sense that, you know, that it's finite. And probably, I suppose, you know, it's the age-old thing that, you know, you won't be loved, or there's, you know, that need for love to be loved and to be wanted. And yet I am. And I think you're amazing. And you probably, that's what pushes you, and I'm loved, and that probably is what pushes me. And we're probably all being pushed by the things that we fear the most.
Isn't it really interesting because my fear was sort of kind of caused by my desire to achieve things, and your fear is basically caused by the desire to hold on to things because you love life, you love all of these things. If you don't love all of these things, you wouldn't have such a quote unquote an attachment issue to it.
Well, this is true. This is true. So I think we've probably sort of, settled on the life, love, and the universe. And we've had a good introduction to our podcast. I expect that we're going to have some beautiful chats moving forward with a whole lot of really incredible people. I look forward to doing this with you for a very long time, hopefully out of COVID and into a little bit more real life. But
yes.
The next one that we have coming up, as I said, was Marina Pasalaris from Beautiful Minds, who's going to be talking about teenage trauma, which is just so vital and so important. And that's a great interview that will be going up straight after this one. And Dr. Vincent, I love you. You're amazing. And I can't wait to hang out with you every single week and get to learn and live with you. So thank you.
I know. Thank you. I love you too. And you all can participate in this little podcast of ours by sending in your support, by sending in your question or your comment. We're going to put our social details in the description down below. And you can also visit our website, which will be live very, very soon. And you can tell us, who do you want us to interview? Doesn't matter. Maybe it's President Obama, Oprah Winfrey, or Bill Gates.
Let's go for Oprah Winfrey. I love the idea. I love Oprah Winfrey. If we could get Oprah Winfrey, I think I would be ecstatic. So you've been listening to the Living Out Loud podcast with Dr. Vincent and Natascha. And if you want to send us questions, anything about life, anything about love and the universe, our email address, which we've just set up, is hello@livingoutloud.com.au. And we look forward to getting some really good questions in.
Until then, stay safe and take care.
Bye-bye, Dr. Vincent. Love you.
Bye, Natascha. I love you.
Bye.